To the Scenery is the debut album from Oscar Lang, who I am so stoked to have on the program. Oscar, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Where are you checking in from on this momentous occasion?
I am checking in from Bayswater in London at my flat. I'm going out this evening, gonna go get a couple drinks, celebrate, because life is good. My album's out.
Indeed. Dude, I love this flat. You've got 2 levels. Look at this monumental staircase that you have
Oh
here.
yeah. I mean, that's why we moved into this place, because it's got a, I think it's called, what's it called? A mezzanine. That I get it wrong every single time. But yeah, we love it. Little split level apartment thing. It's really nice.
Are you sharing this with other musicians, creatives?
Yeah, I've got my girlfriend. She is a bassist in the band Beaver Doobie, and she's over there advising me on the right words.
I see. Your personal publicist is watching your every word here.
Yes. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, with the debut album, we need a proper introduction as to how you got to this point. So you've been playing music since you were very young, piano, guitar, drums, since you were like 11 years old. But also your father was a musician as well. He was a drummer in a band called the House Martins, which was pretty popular in the UK. So how did his experience help shape who you are today? And also, what type of stories did he share about those times when he was a musician himself?
Well, I don't remember any of it because it was before my time. It was like when he was sort of my age, kicking about the London scene. I mean, I've only heard stories of him talking about, Fatboy Slim and all of that. I mean, my dad actually left that band when right before they went off and got really famous. And decided to go and be an actor. So we've got like kind of two sides where there's stories where he tells the stories of that. And then he was also best friends with Hugh Grant when he was at uni. And then Hugh Grant went off and left him and became hugely famous. So we kind of just rinsed him for that and take the mick out of him for that. Those are the only stories I really have. He did. All he tells me about drumming is that he'd love to be my drummer. And he wishes I could let him play.
He would be living the dream. So him being in a creative space has to be very helpful for what you do, because you're not just playing music and performing on stage and what have you. You're also doing videos, and the visual aspect these days is very important.
Well, it's been really helpful having, it's quite rare that, your parent is also doing something creative. So he kind of really understands where I'm coming from with a lot of stuff. And it's kind of always been there to support the creative aspects of me and moving about all the different things. Yeah, I mean, for a while he was pretty like aggressive with school and all that. But as soon as I got like signed and was actually doing well in music, he was like, right, go and do your thing. Like, he's got a lot of trust in me. So that's really helpful.
That's interesting. Did he not want you to pursue a creative route and sent you to this all boys school on purpose?
Well, I don't think he did it on purpose. I mean, I had always been musical, but had never really said outright like music is what I want to do. I was kind of just doing it for like because I love to do it. And in a weird way, I'm thankful it was so horrible and I didn't enjoy it, because I am creative because it's my therapy, and writing music for me is my therapy. So to go through, I would go to school and play people the music I was making at the time, and people would just laugh at me and just like go in on me, and I was very nerdy and just not cool. Like a lot of people knew me as like the moist one. So having that experience and having like a lot of people doubt me and the emotions of going through and not being one of the cool people at school and being, the guy that sat in the corner of a party and didn't know how to speak to girls or how to speak to anyone really. There's no harsher audience than like 1,000 15-year-old boys. Like that's a harsh audience.
It's interesting to hear that you weren't the cool one, because I think, if you play music and you're releasing it online and it's somewhat well received and you're doing covers of popular bands at the time and things like that, that someone would say, hey, you're doing some cool stuff there.
Well, funny enough, actually, when in the sixth form year, that's when girls joined, and just in the last year of school, girls joined. And when some girls joined, they actually liked the music I was making, and that's how I met Biba Doobie, because through a mutual friend from my school, who had just come from her school, and that's how we got in touch and started working together. So I think the girls were a little bit more intelligent than all the 15-year-old boys, who I think were mainly into a lot of grime music, which is just like huge in the UK. So we're just constantly like driller, like, you know, doing that. So me like singing my soft voice sad songs didn't really go down well.
There's a lot of testosterone in an all boys school, so
Yes,
I'm sure that
way too much.
What do you attribute to your preference for that style of music and not being attracted to the grime and harder sounds?
I don't know. I think I've always kind of liked that stuff. I mean, I was very influenced by what my parents were listening to growing up, and my dad kind of loved a lot of Hall and Oates and that kind of Simon and Garfunkel type thing. And then my mum was into, you know, more singer-songwriter type things. Like there's this band called The Feeling that I love and have always loved, and I kind of attribute them whenever people ask me what of my influences, because it was that I remember dancing around the kitchen to with my mum. And when she passed away, I got a CD from my dad, who like made me a CD with all of her favorite songs, and that was like weird. Whereas other people would have, you know, pop albums, I had this album, that's this CD that I listened to hundreds and hundreds of times, of, you know, Groove Is in the Heart and all these kind of like 90s disco songs mixed with a little bit of 80s, and you know, and all of that kind of came about. And my music taste is always shifting and changing. So, you know, as much as I'm not into that hard style of grime, I love hard style of rock and screaming and shouting. So it's not necessarily moods. It's just that specific sound I'm not too keen on.
All right, you've shifted to a new space. I got to let people know you're running out of battery, and then hence
Yes.
the ET poster.
Yes, glorious boy. I love ET. I've got like ET memorabilia all about my house. He's my special boy.
How many times have you seen that movie?
Oh, countless times. I honestly don't even know. I used to watch it so much as a kid. It's such a sweet movie, and I don't know why I love him so much. He's just like so innocent and so sweet and cute.
Not to get too deep, but is that kind of a representation of what you kind of imagined what life could have been for you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I've always, there was this one song that I used to be obsessed with. I used to be obsessed with Michael Jackson as a kid. I mean, now not so much, to be honest, but there was this one song he did for E.T. that never got released, and it was like one of my favorite songs of all time. And there's a bit in it which I always just found kind of funny, but also brilliant, where like in the middle of the song, E.T. just goes, "Thank you." In the middle of the song, it's Michael Jackson singing. So I think that kind of like influenced my love for E.T.
Interesting. We were just talking about some of the life-altering moments in your life, and I was curious how you've been able to separate those things and creating music and turning out 3 EPs last year, and then now this debut album that centers around different themes that more people can find relatable: romance, friendships, mental health, and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, the last year's been really kind of like hard, and it's meant that I've done so much more growing up and looked at myself and introspect, like be really introspective with everything I'm doing. And it's kind of like these themes are things that I think a lot of people can relate to, and a lot of people struggle with, and especially with my family's like own problems with mental health. You know, I lost my mum to it, and it's something that's really important to me, and I struggle with all the time, and I think it's important to talk about. And I think more and more nowadays people are having problems, and a lot of people would like to look at that and be like, oh, it's generation being crybabies and this and that, but we've got so much more that like older people didn't have. You know, you didn't have an app where you could see what every single one of your friends is doing without you, when you're sat at home on like sitting there just doing nothing, and you can see what everyone's doing. So you have things like that, and then you have, you know, likes being your sense of worth, and you didn't have that. You didn't have a number to how popular you were, and I remember I used to care so much about it, especially in secondary school, in the all boys school. where it's such a huge thing. And then as soon as I got it, I kind of realized, why did I care all of this time? And it means no different to me. I don't feel any different because I get 1,000 likes compared to 14 or whatever I was getting before.
Exactly. It's not like you could go get a cup of coffee and then cut the line. Hey, I got 200,000 followers and I'm verified.
Yeah, exactly. It means nothing, but yeah, it means so much in our heads. We let it affect us so much, and that was one thing I realized, that I was spending all of this time looking at an app, just mindlessly staring at photos, walking away having learned nothing, and feeling worse about myself. And I was kind of like, why am I doing this?
Why did I just do that? 2 hours gone.
Yeah, why did I just do it? I have like no reason to be there. I didn't learn anything. I just looked at stuff.
Well, congratulations on this debut. It's been a long time coming. Really a big fan of your music, and can't wait to see you perform live here in the States.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I can't wait to come over. We're gonna like seriously smash it when we come. Like, if you come see us play in the US, it's gonna be insane.
I can't wait.